I'm Hans.
And I'm Franz.
And we're here to lean you out. So, this video here is all about leaning the aircraft, mainly the 182. So, if you're flying the 182 or even the 172, or you're just interested in leaning, go ahead and watch this video with Ken and I. Ken's flying and I'm narrating, so some amazing piloting skills, but also there's some good information for you on how we as a club want to be flying the 182. Check it out. All right, so Ken is all started up and he's done his basic pre-flight here. We're going to set this to 1,000 RPM. One of the things we want to make sure that we remember to do is lean on the ground, especially during the summer. So he's set at 1,000 RPMs. We got the 800 to the 1,000. And so what he's going to do is start pulling back the mixture. And what it'll do is it'll start dropping off once we get to peak RPM. Now this one doesn't move much, but you see the little jump up there? That's probably getting pretty close. See where it's coming up? Now it's dropping off. So what you're looking for is, number one, there's about where it is on a nice September day. So there's a frame of reference. But if you watch there, when he was pulling that back, it went from 1,000 up to about 1,050. And that's your peak RPM. And so that's a good spot to be, or a little bit before that. What we don't want to be doing is taxiing around full rich, all right? So again, we're going to pull this back, and you'll start seeing where we get a little bit of rise there before it drops off. Now, I usually don't fly quite there, but we can get there. And what you'll find is there you go, a little bit of a rise, okay? And then it dropped off, so I went a little too far. So there we go. Perfect spot to be. All right, let's roll. Okay, while Ken's taxiing out here, the reason why we want to lean the engine on the ground is because these engines are designed to be overly rich to start. And so what we're going to be doing is leaning it back because it's set up to be overly rich. So we're taxiing around, if we don't lean it, as being overly rich. So there's the big reason why that's done that way. And shortly we'll be doing a run-up. And there's a few techniques we want to be conscious of on the run-up. All right, here we go. Ken is ready to do his run-up here, and there's a few things we want to talk about during the run-up. Number one, we only need to cycle this prop once, okay? Not 4 or 5 times, okay? And then number two is 1,700 is what the manual says, but we don't need to be exactly there. The engine doesn't know the difference between 16 and 1,700 on the RPM, so just get there and be done. All right, so go ahead, Ken. All right, so here we go. We're going to have Ken do the run up here, and he's going to go back to full rich, all right? And then he's going to run it up to 1,700, but being exactly 1,700 doesn't matter. Just get close and then do your run up, because we don't want to be running this thing at high RPMs on the ground, beating up the prop, beating up the airframe, everything else. So he's going to do his quick run up. He's going to get all those things done. Now, we're going to go to this prop. The prop mix run-up does not need to be done a whole bunch of times here. There we go. We got a drop-off. We know the prop's working. That's good enough. Some of the instructors are out there telling you to do it 3, 4, 5 times, and that's just beating the prop up with the sand and gravel out there, and also the pressure that's put on it. So one is good. All right. Now, Ken's going to re-lean again here. And we don't want to halfway lean when we're on the ground. And one of the big reasons why we don't want to halfway lean is because if you get over to the runway and start putting full power to it and you're halfway lean, you're not going to get full power. Okay, so either have it fully leaned or full rich. All right, so we're ready to go. All right, so here we go. Ken is ready for takeoff. So the first thing we're going to do is do our pre-flight, pre-takeoff checks, and he's going to go to full rich. Remember to go full rich. If you don't, it's not the end of the world if you are leaned max for takeoff, because it'll stumble and tell you that you screwed up. So we're back to full rich and we're going to take off.
Buffalo area traffic, Skylane 21201 departing runway 36 to the west. Buffalo.
All right, so I want to show you something really quick about leaning and how these engines work, and I'll show you a graph here later also. So here I am, I'm full rich, okay? Now we're going to pull this mixture back, and you can watch the EGT go up, and then we're going to call out when we're starting to get rough, all right? There it is. It's starting to get rough right there, okay? Now, you see it's settled in. Now I'm going to go back and push the mixture back in, and I'll watch this here. So the EGT now is actually rising, okay? And then it's going to start to drop off again as I'm slowly pushing this in here, and it's dropping down. And now we're getting rich of peak again here, okay? So now really, if you look at where we were at, we had on the line was when it started to get rough, and then we went up probably another 50 degrees up or higher temperature before we hit peak on this cylinder. And we'll walk through that here shortly. All right, so here we are, we're in the pattern, and Ken's standard practice is when he's on downwind, he's gonna go to full rich. Okay, I personally wait a little longer. It's up to you, that's pilot and command stuff. So just make sure that you keep that in mind, that you've got your engine leaned as you are out at cruise and descending down in. So here we are. The last piece will be once we get to the runway and land. There'll be a couple steps we'll talk about when we get there. All right, just have to get this on film.
No pressure there.
Not bad. All right, Ken has landed. And, you know, first thing first, he's going to fly the airplane all the way to the ground, and a couple things we want to take care of. So first thing we want to do is make sure we get that carb heat put back in, because that is unfiltered air getting sucked into the engine. And if they just mowed the lawn or anything like that, we're pulling grass up into our nice brand new engine. All right, next piece is the cowl flaps, and now we're going to be putting flaps up if you'd like, but then leaning the engine on the ground. A lot of times we don't have a whole lot of time because we're right here and going straight back over to the hangar, but if you can get her leaned, that'd be great. And that is it, folks.
All right, let's do a little review here, and we're going to use this lean of peak, rich of peak chart, which has a sawtooth and the red box. And we want to stay out of the red box. That's where we start doing damage to our engine. So we want to stay out of there. And in some cases, if we get into that box, we want to get out as quick as we can. So if you look in the top left part of the screen there, you'll see the takeoff. And then as you're climbing, we're working our way, leaning a little bit at each increment, and that might be every 1,000 feet. You're going to lean a little bit going up, all right? And then you're going to get to your top of your climb and get to your cruise altitude. Now, when we're doing that cruise altitude, we're getting everything all leveled off, getting it trimmed out, and then we're going to bring that mixture back. And what you want to do is you want to bring that mixture back as quick as you can. And what you're going to do is you're going to find peak EGT, but then that's usually where it starts to get rough, and you'll get that rough feeling. And then you want to be back in at about 75 degrees rich of peak. So we're going to be above that line. So we're going to go to the peak EGT, and then we're going to be 75 degrees rich of that, okay? And so then when you get ready to descend, you will start descending, and about every 1,000 feet you want to re-enrichen. And the whole idea, as you see here, is we're going to stay outside of the red box, except for that very quick time that we're in there. And there you have it. If you have any questions, reach out. But the whole idea and what the goal for the club is we want to be running at 75 degrees, rich of peak in cruise. And one other piece to keep in mind is we have a 6-cylinder engine, and it's carbureted, and our gauge is only on one of those cylinders. And each cylinder has its own specific EGT chart, let's say. And so, again, our engine only has the very crude analog gauge on one cylinder. So we're doing our best by all the cylinders by keeping it at 75 degrees rich of peak. So there you go. That's all we got for you today. If you have any questions, reach out to Ken or other members of the club, and we'll go from there. Take care. And I hope you enjoyed this video.